everyone here on stage are in the complex sales kind of business, and I'm sorry I didn't send you the question beforehand, so your cheat sheet won't work now. And you know, when you're selling a product that you're saying, okay, I'm gonna get a lead, and then someone will call him, that's it. You can show the value very, very easily. But in the complex sales world, now it's gonna be tough. Because you have all those sales guys saying, I know this mobile operator from 1995. I had drinks with this guy from the network department back then. And now you tell me they opened an email? Or, we know this market already. We know everybody there. So you really want to tell me that we sold this $10 billion deal because they attended a webinar? Right? And that's in cases that you can actually link the two. You can link from a lead gen, which is done by marketing, to an actual sales, which is done by sales. And let's say for a second that we live in La La Land and they even talk with each other, sales and marketing, right? In this very, very utopian organization I'm talking about. How do you then go to your CEO and tell him, look, you remember all those events that you had, all those leads that were coming from there? Brackets, we know that are not that high, that of good quality, but we know that we bought these leads and you had this Excel, this nice Excel that shows you all the people that we've met. We should not go there. We should not buy this $10,000 banner above our booth, because with these $10,000, I can run a marketing program for almost 2 months, at least in some cases, right? How do you convince them then to make this change? Point number one. Point number two, how do you get your team to believe in that? Because if you're bringing a team which is homegrown, which is from within the organization, they're from the school of saying, we are traditional marketers, we know how to do X, Y, Z, and now you need to help them to go to the next step. How do you solve this problem? From your personal experience, of course. No cheat sheet.
So how do I solve it with the management? How do I solve it with my team? It's easy. I've never, seriously, I don't think I've had the problem. I came and said, I don't want to spend that 10K on another sponsorship in an exhibition. I want to take it and put it on LinkedIn campaigns. And my boss said, go for it. So he knows the value. He's there as well. Who's not there? Well. If your boss is not in digital, then, and he's in charge of marketing in some way, then you gotta have a conversation with him. Okay. You gotta start by educating your boss, I guess.
How many people here, feel that this is a challenge? Let's not go into specifics.
I'm sorry, maybe.
I think that what happened is that maybe in the past 2 or 3 years...
Can you just first of all present yourself?
My name is Owen Balkai. I used to work as a product manager for CI Telecom.
Okay.
And I think that what happened over the past 2 or 3 years is that even the CEO was looking at the event and saying, okay, what's the ROI on the event? How much lead gen actually in volume dollars, not in amount, comes out of it? Show me the numbers the same way you do ROI on digital. Once that happens, you can shift it very easily, because you say, this is a bit higher ROI, but you need a mix of it. As she said, once your management is on board, it's easy.
Yeah, but I've never proved the ROI on a 10K budget for LinkedIn campaign. He wants me to try it. He's willing to give me the money to try.
That's 10% out of the budget.
I proved that I know digital. I think that was impressive enough to let me play in that playground of digital. So, as I said, I can increase the sums. Sorry? How big in terms of employees? 350 people. You want me to impress you? It's an Orange subsidiary.
I was just curious
okay.
about...
I don't have such a big marketing budget.
CEO or your boss or...
Yeah, my boss is...
How much money can you spend without talking to him?
Without?
How much money can you spend without talking to him?
Only 2K. Above 2K, I have to get someone to sign it. Not very generous. But they normally sign it. Even if they ask questions, I answer, and they sign. And I try. And if I fail, I don't do it again, or I do it differently. But at least they trust me enough to try things. You gotta get their trust. I don't know. It's down to communication and relationships.
Okay, so for the less fortunate companies, how do you solve it? You had a question?
The question is, how do you, supposing you prove ROI based on some history, how do you go about doing that without antagonizing the non-digital marketers? I mean, that's...
The question was the question was about how do you do not antagonize the traditional marketers when you're bringing all those cool shiny things. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm a good example for that because I'm in charge of all marketing in the company. So both traditional and non-traditional marketing is in my team. I have about 7 people, not many, but they just know that we have a goal. We have a shared goal and a vision, and whoever brings the leads, that's great. So it's just a matter of communicating right with your team and setting the expectations to what we're trying to achieve. I think it goes back to what Guy was saying about what's the strategy, what's the mission, and then we go from there. So, you know, if someone has a problem, really, it's just a matter of ego or, you know, just trying to really build a relationship so that you can talk to them openly. I don't think it has anything to do with marketing, by the way. It's good management, I guess. I don't know.
Should have given you the microphone. I saw that. Why don't you take that one?
Why did you take that?
Whoa. Two aspects. There's a management issue here, which is nothing to do with marketing, just management skills. And then there's marketing skills. I'll start with the management one. You need to manage the situation. For example, by the way, I can take your question and, if I may, extrapolate upon it, because it's not just, you know, the non-digital ones versus the digital ones. But what happens if you're in-house, and I had it in several companies, your in-house digital team has a very specific set of talents, but what you need is that extra that you can't get from them. So you get the digital in-house and the digital which you outsource somewhere. So you still get the same sort of potentially ego, antagonism, and so on. So I guess across the board, there's a management technique. Basically, what you do is you lay out the playing field. This is what we need to do. This is how we need to do it. And from my experience, what happens is that you create this by believing in it. If you truly, by the way, if you don't believe it, you won't be able to harness other people to actually go with you and get them on board. But if you do, what happens is by doing it, you create a sense of urgency and a sense of accomplishment. And then basically everybody gets in it together. And this is why I like to start these discussions, especially with my teams, from the strategy level. What is it we want to accomplish? Then we'll figure out the rest becomes logistics all of a sudden because everybody's united under one idea. That's on the management side. On the marketing side, and that goes to Kfir's, I think, initial question, what happens when the sales cycle is long? Long could be more than 12, 14, 16 months sometimes. I don't know if you know, but in the telecom industry, if you want to sell a huge system, it's roughly around longer than 12 months easily. So how can you connect that, lead or whatever activity you've done 12, 30 months before to something that just happened now? There's no visible connection. Couple of techniques. One, it doesn't necessarily have to be a lead at the end. And I'll explain. In some cases, you have the decision maker or the buying center, let's put it that way, and you have a ton of influencers around them. Even if your sales guy knows someone who he's been drinking with for Kingdoms Come, whatever, he still knows 1, 2, 3, 4 people. At the end of the day, it's one to few type of approach. You come in with digital, suddenly you can flash out tons and tons of people. Again, depends on how big your playfield is to start with. But you can actually then flash out a lot of people that he doesn't even know about. And they can be potential influencers today, and they'll be the decision makers of tomorrow. But you bring in value through, I call it an additional channel of way to get things done. It also evolved, by the way, in most industries, by the way, not just telecom. The buying centers keep on evolving. So if you used to sell to the IT, suddenly you have to sell to the IT and the network, or the IT and the marketing. And then your sales guy is kind of helpless because he knows the guys in IT very well. He takes them out for drinks, but he has no idea who the marketing guys are, and potentially they don't know who he is either. So why would they even talk to him? This is where digital becomes really valuable. So you can meet them through events and so on, but if you engage with them on a long process and then you actually hand it out to them and say, guys, this guy is in marketing. He's interested in X, Y, Z. He's already requesting a follow-up. Just go and tie the knot. It makes a hell of a difference, pardon my French, between going and saying, hey, we're going to go digital and replace the banner versus I'll do digital marketing versus you bring in value. And by the way, I would argue that sales and marketing talk very well together, provided, and that's a big provided, that marketing brings sales value. Okay? If marketeers can actually come and say, here, this is the marketing, marketing has two aspects in the way sales guys think. A, they make shiny presentations. Great. B, they do a lot of stuff that really has no consequence on what I have to sell tomorrow morning. If we can break that cycle and digital is a great way to break that cycle, come in and say, look, we've run this campaign. Here are 3 different personas, 3 different people you want to meet in that organization because they've expressed interest in 1, 2, 3, and just happens that 2 of them he doesn't even know about. That's value. And if you follow up with him and you go and you sort of go the whole 9 yards, and you go to the meeting with them and you present there as well, and you close it, that's true value. I call it marketing support. Sales support we have, well, maybe, in larger companies, it's sort of divided. But yeah, I feel that we go from digital to traditional to closing the loop to going back. And that's a true marketeer in my perspective.
I totally agree with what you said. 100% right. The day-to-day challenge, I think that every marketer faces in almost every organization is how you deal with the people that used to do it in a certain way and now you want to bring a new approach. I think it applies to every job, every position you have in almost every company. So a tip, I don't know if it's a tip or not, but quick wins. Find a way to tie the knots. And as my friend here said, instead of run a single campaign, build your plan. And build your plan according to what you would like to achieve. And from that, go downwards and choose your channels. And make sure that the channels have a very good correlation in between. So, and what is the process that you would like the prospect to go through? What kind of information would you like them to get on your solution, on your product, whatever it may be? So when you tie all the dots together and you come with a reasonable campaign that makes sense, I think that reasonable people want to see your thinking process. So if that could be a quick win to show them a process that makes sense, it could be a good key. But really, it's in every position, in every situation, in every job you may have. So that would be my personal tip for you as a quick win. But
I think that another approach is to take a methodological approach to it, to show that the reality is that our customers behave differently now than they did 10 years ago. Because 10 years ago they didn't search Google, and now they do. So if I want to define a business process of customer acquisition, I have to consider that today part of the customer acquisition process is Google search, and if I don't address that particular point, then I'm going to miss out on that particular customer acquisition. And if I can methodologically show that this is how I acquire customers, and it can happen this way for this persona, and this way for that persona, and these are the stations along the way, along this process, then let's now address each one of these junctions. And if you do that, then there's almost no, if you're a logical person, you have to agree that we have to address all these different junctions.
I got a couple of tips too. One is for exhibitions. So you were talking about bringing value, especially to sales. One of the things we started doing in the past year is before exhibitions, we're the ones that are in charge of setting up the meetings for the salespeople at the exhibition. So we do that. We make sure that the meetings are going to be interesting and welcomed by the salespeople, because in many cases they don't like the meetings we give them. So we've learned, and now we make sure before the exhibition that they're happy with what we set up. What we do is we print out a paper sheet, and we put on that sheet a picture of the guy or the girl they're going to meet, all of the details we have about them, and a lot of information from digital that they cannot get on the day. Yeah, I do a lot of cheat sheets. On the day of the event. So when they come to the exhibition and they have a meeting, we hand out that paper to them, and then they have lots of information about the organization, about the department, about the people. But what is really cool, and that is from digital, is that we go to LinkedIn, for example, and we map out all of the connection that that person has with people from our company or our partners, so that the person who is meeting that guy knows to name drop someone, or to say, I know you've been working with this one or that one, he's my friend, or, tips that can help them, gain more business intelligence that they couldn't get on the spot, or that they wouldn't bother to do before an exhibition. So that's one thing we do, and they love it. They love those sheets. So speaking of giving value, and then I had another one. Yeah, Efrat reminded me something that I forgot. Okay, I'll remember.